So are we supposed to start the podcast?
1, 2, 3. That was pretty good right off the bat.
It's pretty good. I mean, we have to continue the clap.
Even though it was a big prank on me.
Big dick over.
Now I feel like we couldn't do the show without it.
We couldn't. And people are looking forward to
my clapping.
Clap off.
My clap off.
Instead of a kick off. It's a clap off.
It's a clap off.
Remember like in the 90s, 80s, 90s, the clapper commercial?
Yes. Clap on, clap off.
The clapper.
Yeah, and it turns your lights off. It was like pre-Alexa. The 80s version of Alexa.
Yes.
With your lights.
Yes. I loved it. Well, Pumps, what have you had it with today?
I have had it with employees of stores talking to somebody on the phone when you're standing there in person. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. So I go in to grab just one little item. It'll take 30 seconds.
Okay.
The clerk is on the phone helping a customer and answering the customer's questions while I'm standing there. I think it's appropriate, and I was always taught when I worked in retail, is that you put them on hold. You say, I'm sorry, I have a customer. Let me get right back on you, because they're at home. They don't have any claim to taking over the whole store, not being at the store. And so the customers that are there in real life that schlepped their fat asses up there to grab something have to wait until Jane Doe on the phone asks 47 impertinent questions.
This happens a lot, but what if you are the person that went in person, that schlepped your ass up to the store?
Right.
You bought something and something's wrong with it, or there's an issue with it. And so then you phone. What if you're the caller?
I wouldn't be the caller. I would just take it back up there and return it. I mean, I find it, and the last time it happened, this woman, I swear to God, asked the same question 50 times because it was only the girl and I, and she answered it like 50 different ways. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. She's answered your question 3 times. You're not getting what you want to hear, so you keep asking the same question. Another thing that's my pet peeve is when you go in somewhere and the employees are talking and not helping you.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's the worst. It happened like a month ago. I went in to grab a poster board, like a $2 item. So I go up. The clerks are shooting the shit, and you can tell it's not about work because they're laughing and giggling, and I'm like tapping my hand, looking extremely impatient. Finally, I just took a $5 bill out of my purse and left. Just left the whole thing.
So what you're identifying are yak mouths that work together.
Yes.
Yak mouthing.
Yes.
Instead of doing their jobs.
Right.
No, this happens a lot. You could be in a restaurant and you need a refill, or you need like an extra side of salad dressing.
Right.
And it's been 10 minutes since the waiter's been to your table, and you're kind of looking around.
Like, where are you?
You need this one ingredient
before you can eat
to continue your meal.
Right.
And they're all chit-chatting.
Yeah.
Knee-slapping jokes over there, just cutting up, which I think it's fun to have fun with your coworkers at work.
Right.
But take care of your shit. Handle your shit. Then go fuck around.
That's exactly right. Do what you're supposed to do. In a situation like that, I always march my ass right up to those people and be like, I need someone to find my waiter or waitress, and this is what I need.
So one of my best gay friends, he's dead now, but his name was Drew. And we would go out, and this is before I had kids, and we'd go out and we'd go to like brunch or something obnoxious, right? And we'd be drinking bottomless mimosas the whole nine, and we'd start to get rowdy. And I'd be with a bunch of gay guys, and we're just cutting it up, having the best time ever. And the waiter would take a long time to come back over. So he would get his cell phone and he would call the restaurant. And so they would answer it like such and such bar. And he'd be like, hi, my name is Drew. And I'm at the table in the back corner by the window sitting at an 8-top. And we haven't seen our waiter in like 10 to 15 minutes. Can you please tell him we need some more mimosas and some more chips and salsa? Thanks. And he'd hang up.
I worship that. Is a bitch boss move.
Totally.
Love that.
He was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do that the next time.
Yeah, you can just call. You can be the caller.
I can be the caller and say, can I speak to the manager?
That's a Karen caller.
I know, but I kind of feel like I am a Karen, so I'm just going to embrace it.
Okay. All right. Let me tell you what I've had it with.
Okay.
I have had it with people micromanaging other people on the internet. I'm going to give you a prime example.
Okay.
See, right now I have my foot on this table.
Right.
Multiple times, like in a reel or in our YouTube videos, in the comment section, somebody will write, she needs to take her foot off the table. And I am just like, why do you give a shit? It's not your table.
Right.
It's not your foot. It's not your podcast. All you're doing is trolling in the comments section, wasting all of this precious energy worried about this. And it's like, why do you care? We don't eat off this table.
No.
I kind of like propping my foot up.
Right.
Get over it. Another example is there was this one guy who followed me for a while. He doesn't follow me anymore, but I didn't know him in person.
He broke up with you?
Yes, because he would always send me these comments. Like I would go to Orange Theory, or I was working out at Orange Theory like a crazy person, okay? And I was a nut, a total had it violator, and I would post my score, my Orange Theory score on my story.
That's so embarrassing.
It is, but I did it, and I would double down and do it again. And so he would message me, instead of going to Orange Theory, you should go to blank blank exercise class.
What?
Yes. So then we like to go to Italy every summer to the same place for our family vacation. And this was like a permanent post. And he goes on like a 4 to 5 long sentence scolding me and telling me that I should stop going to Italy and I need to look into going to Switzerland because it's in Switzerland you can do X, Y, Z and Italy's overrated and blah, blah, blah. And I think I responded to him, I like Italy and I'm going to continue going to Italy. Why do you care where I go
Mind
on
your
vacation?
business.
Why do you care what exercise class I take? And like, why the fuck is he micromanaging me? Unfollow me.
I think that's more stalkerish.
It was weird.
That is weird.
But there are so many people that like, there's all of this like unsolicited micromanaging bullshit that goes on the internet. Like the last thing I do when I see somebody's Instagram post is like, hey, you might want to lighten up on those fake eyelashes. You look like shit. I might think it.
But you're not going to write it.
But I don't write it.
Right.
These trolls think it and write it and put it on the World Wide Web for everybody to know what fucking assholes they are. It's just breathtaking, really.
Right. The keyboard courage rises again.
Keyboard courage. I'm not going to, if I see somebody riding their Peloton bike on their Instagram, chime in and say, hey, you might want to give Ashtanga yoga a try. And we all know what a nut I am about pickleball. Right. I don't stop on tennis players' profiles or golfers' profiles and say, hey, you need to give up golf and segue over to pickleball.
Right.
I just don't do it. I think it. Okay. I have asshole thoughts. I don't, quote unquote, manifest them onto the internet. And so I wonder where like the thinking and the discernment suspends for these people, because they just don't have it. It's a complete suspension of, that's really not my place to tell them what to do with their life.
Right.
If they want to be assholes, they could form a podcast called I've Had It and call out these people each week.
That's right.
Like we've done.
Right.
You know,
making the unproductive productive.
That's right.
Right.
Look at her again.
Yes.
Making the unproductive productive. Somebody wrote on YouTube, what did it say, Kylie, that Pumps was like a Jedi or
a guru.
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 Somebody wrote Pumps is a low-key guru.
Oh my gosh, what am I guru of? Just life?
Life.
You know what I need to do? I need to become a life coach.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That is about the worst idea you have ever had.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's been worse. I think there's been way worse.
Well, I would like to welcome everybody to our show called I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie.
She is the guru of our show.
The guru.
The star of our show.
Okay, one quick thing. Some people pronounce guru. Which is it?
What?
Never
Yes.
heard that.
Yes.
You're making that up.
No.
It's completely manufactured.
No, it is not. I've heard people say it.
Richard,
In one of
YouTube
my
this.
many
YouTube this.
cult things, cult shows I've watched, they call it a guru.
Here's how Google says it.
Okay.
Guru.
Okay, so we're saying it right.
Guru. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I did see, you know how I watch all those cult things. And it was on one of those, I'm pretty sure.
Nonetheless, I want to get back to you being the star of our show.
Right. Life coach and training.
Yes. And
Guru.
we want everybody to go to Apple Review and leave 5 stars and tell us who's the star of the show. And I'm going to throw in a couple of alternates.
Okay.
If you've had it with myself, the co-star, or the star,
Right.
grandstanding around, renaming things, making up rules that you have to get bangs when you're 60, all this bullshit, this jet stream of utter bullshit that comes out of her mouth. Kylie and Richard are viable options
Right.
of being stars of the show.
Being the favorites. Yes.
Richard pulled right through in the clutch right there
Right.
with the real pronunciation of guru.
Right. And poor Richard has to put up with the 3 of us. God love him.
I know. Kylie, do we have any comments online that are of interest that you need to share with us and our listener?
I've got 2 that I think you'll like.
Okay, good.
This is a 5-star review on Apple. This podcast makes me laugh so much. Pumps is the Princess Diana of Oklahoma.
I mean, yes, because I'm so
No.
classy.
The Princess Diana of Oklahoma City. I cannot wait for the next episode when I do the introduction because I was growing tired of the star of our
Now
show.
we know.
The Princess Diana
That is hilarious.
of Oklahoma City. Weigh in on the Apple reviews. Is it just Oklahoma City or could we go nationwide?
Could we go international?
Could we loop the UK into that?
They probably would not want to loop me in as Princess Diana.
I know.
You know.
I mean, Princess Diana was a woman of the people.
Right.
You are
A woman of the
a
people.
guru.
A guru.
Or as you would say,
A guru.
You just flat ass make shit up and
No,
trot
I
it out
swear
as
to
fact.
God, I saw that. I heard that. I swear to God on my children's lives.
Okay.
Okay, this one's for you, Jen.
Okay.
This is on TikTok from Lady Whiskey.
Okay.
Jen is magic. She's gorgeous, witty, and hilarious.
Oh, that's so nice.
Completely agree. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Hashtag humility.
Support for today's episode comes from Jenni Kayne.
Jenny, what did your boys get you for Mother's Day?
Well, Pumps, as you know, Josh has incredible taste, but I don't want to go on about that because I've got to keep his ego beaten down. But nonetheless, he did nail my Mother's Day gift.
Well, that's no shock. He has great taste.
I got the most amazing cashmere knit sweater from Jenni Kayne that I'd been secretly hinting at for weeks.
Shut up. I love Jenni Kayne. The pieces are simple, stylish, comfortable, and chic. Every time I wear something from Jenni Kayne, I get nonstop compliments.
Well, Pumps, as the star of our show, it is incredibly important that you wear things like this so that you stay the hot one. And now you have Jenni Kayne to thank for that.
I sure do.
To find your forever pieces, visit jennikayne.com. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code HADIT at checkout. That's 15% off your first order, JENNIKAYNE.com, promo code HADIT.
Mamas, it's your month, so treat yourself.
Okay. Today, I'm very excited about this episode. We are going to have a real live psychoanalyst, therapist, who has written a book called The Boundary Boss.
Oh, excellent.
And we all know that you are
The worst.
breathtakingly deficient in drawing boundaries, despite the tens of thousands of dollars you've spent with psychoanalysts such as our next guest.
Right. Like I dare say hundreds of thousands.
I think we should let her take a crack at this.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so she is the author of Boundary Boss, and her name is Terri Cole. So let's welcome Terri Cole on I've Had It. Terri, welcome to I've Had It.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're great. I'm super excited about this episode.
Very excited about this episode. So you are the author of a book called The Boundary Boss
Mhm.
and a psychoanalyst And you
A
live
psychotherapist. not
psychotherapist,
analyst. Mhm.
psychotherapist. Well, can you tell us what you have had it with?
I've had it with passive aggressive communication.
Oh, I love that one.
That is a great one. Will
Great
you
one.
give us an example of the most recent form of passive aggressive behavior that has caused you to have it?
A friend saying that I got the time wrong that we were supposed to meet, even though actually I didn't. And she was like, but that's okay. See you soon, with like a smiley face. Like, the passive aggressive smiley really kills me. When someone's actually saying something, they're criticizing you, but with an emoji. It's really annoying and very bad.
It's really patronizing. I recently was on a website. I think corporations are using passive aggressive behavior. And recently I was on a website and this box pops up, enter your email address to become a member of our club and receive 10% off your purchase. Well, I went to X out that box because I didn't want to give out my email address and I didn't want to be a member of the club. And so then this other screen pops up that says, no, comma, I don't want to save 10%. And to proceed on shopping, I had to acknowledge that I don't want to
Right.
save 10%. So it makes me look like this asshole. And I'm like, these corporations are getting so passive aggressive, wanting our email addresses and then shaming us when we don't want to sign up to be a member of their club to receive the barrage of emails.
Right. I mean, they want to stalk you is what they want to do.
Yes.
And sell your information to other people. And yeah,
Right. Exactly.
So you're trying to draw a boundary and then you get shamed for drawing a boundary by a corporation.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I have to say, passive aggressive behavior is out there and has been out there forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And in respect to boundaries, right, it's directly related, because if you can't be direct about your boundaries, which are your preferences, your desires, your limits, and your deal breakers, then we find an indirect way to still communicate what that is, right? Because those feelings don't go away. If you don't want to do something, but you don't have the ability to say no, you might get a migraine the morning of.
Right.
You might flip it and be like, I don't know why so-and-so is asking me to come again. She's so entitled, thinking I should go to her house all the time. Like, instead of just being able to say, hey, I'm not up for it. It doesn't work for me. I'm really beat. Telling the truth, passive aggressive communication is a way to still not do what you want to do.
Right. So what about this? I was Googling online about passive aggressive behavior. And what about passive aggressive gift giving? An example would be like maybe gifting somebody a self-help book, or maybe somebody that you think might be overweight, buying them a size that is smaller. I once received as a gift from our friend Julie for my birthday some bronzer. Which is such a random thing to receive as a gift.
Right.
And I immediately knew she thinks I look too pale.
Too pale.
And she wants me to bronze up.
I kind of think that's hilarious.
It's interesting, though, because again, what is it? It's indirectly communicating what Julie thought you'd look better with a little bronzer. She was indirectly communicating it, though, right? Or the husband or the wife who's giving the spouse the exercise bike.
Right.
Or, because I know you really want it. No, because you think I'm fat is what that's about. But again, gift giving is something that if you're trying to give someone a secret hint, I would say that's the least best place to do it. Like, I think we can all agree that that's just so rude. Like, don't waste your money on a passive aggressive gift. Just learn some boundaries.
Exactly. Here's another example. So there was a roommate situation in a flat in the UK. And this one particular roommate was furious with all of the other roommates because they weren't picking up after themselves in the flat. So she goes and renames on the Netflix profile. You know how you can have individual users. And so one person's name was fuck you. The next roommate was for leaving. The next one was the flat a mess. The last one was sincerely Debbie.
That's pretty funny.
I thought it was pretty clever.
Right.
It is, but think about, it's clever and it is funny, but think about the bandwidth, time,
Right.
and energy
Totally.
that Debbie used to rename all of those avatars when perhaps Debbie could have had a flat meeting and expressed how she felt and why she felt that way and made a simple request that they not be slobs. Now, I'm not saying that means they would listen,
Right.
but there's something about the indirectness of it, even if it's clever, that tells us that there's something missing in your skill set. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Let's move on to boundaries. So I'm going to give you a
Yes.
little history here. My husband is a recovering drug addict alcoholic. So through that journey with him, and he is, like many addicts, relapsed multiple times, had sustained sobriety, and then something would trigger a relapse. So obviously this has sent me straight to the therapist's office multiple times through my late 20s, all of my 30s, and a significant portion of my 40s. And I believe that you are correct that boundaries and passive aggressive behavior go hand in hand. And there was this one time when I was just a little baby codependent in the beginning stages of our marriage. And I'm trying to figure out what on earth is going on. I'm talking to our friend Libby on the phone, and Josh is in rehab, but he is like he's very angry. He's in a lot of denial. He's mad that he's there. The typical, reaction that a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts have once they're removed from their addiction. So I'm telling my friend Libby, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. I'm going to draw a boundary. I've had it with him. He's being such a dick. He just needs to meet with his therapist, blah, blah, blah. And she's like totally cheerleading me on. And then the call waiting beeps and it's Josh. After I said all of this, completely in denial, Terri, I said, oh my God, I'll call you right back. That's Josh.
Right.
And I clicked over, took his call. Of course, we got into a big row. And then I called Libby back, and she is literally jaw on the floor. She goes, do you not realize that we just talked about the boundary that you were going to draw? And then you said, I'll call you right back. It's Josh on the other line. And it didn't hit me until she said that.
But here's the thing. You're talking about disordered boundaries and codependency are, codependency, the foundation of codependency is disordered boundaries. So it makes sense that you were codependently attached to Josh.
Right.
So therefore, your boundaries are disordered in that relationship because it's very difficult. You've got to deal with the codependency first in order to have better boundaries.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
It does. So Pumps has a really difficult time drawing boundaries.
Right. I'm the worst at it.
Very difficult. She overmothers
Totally.
the kids. They get frustrated with her because she'll, like, if we go on a trip, she starts unpacking them. And I'm like, Pump Sam is 22. And he's like, Jenni, please tell her I can unpack myself. And she says, well, it's just easier for me to unpack. And Sam's like, actually, it would be easier for me to do it, but she won't listen to me. And so I think it's interesting that we have this generation of Gen Zers that have been overdiagnosed with, issues to where ADD, ADHD, which some of that is real, but I think a lot of physicians and parents throw medication at these problems. And then these kids, their parents are power moms. They're doing all this stuff up at the school for them. And then all of a sudden they're early adults and they say, I have so much anxiety. And I think that we need to look at what are we doing to contribute to our children's anxiety by overparenting, overdiagnosing. What is your take on all of that?
Well, what you're describing, and obviously, Pumps, you're not alone. What you're describing is what I call high functioning codependency. So it's like when there's a problem, when there's an issue, when there's something to be done, it's like we are immediately asserting ourselves and inserting ourselves into the middle of that thing, whatever the thing is. If we're constantly bailing kids out or doing things for them that they can and should be doing for themselves, we are saying, you need me to save you. You need me to do it. I don't think you can. And it's really, really hard to not jump in, especially if a kid gets themselves in trouble. We don't want them to make a mistake. We don't want them to end up in a relationship with someone who we don't think is good for them. We don't want them to pick the wrong major. But again, in teaching them, our job as parents is we teach them critical thinking, deductive reasoning. Like, there has to be a point where we allow them to make mistakes. And if there's a lack of respect that a kid feels, even teens, when we're too controlling. Because think about what we're doing. We are centering every situation that they're in on us. We want to be the hero in their story rather than teaching them to be the hero in their own story.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm sitting here butt naked. I mean, that's like ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. I mean, on all of it.
Okay.
Top to bottom.
The high functioning codependent. This, I mean, with all the therapy we've had,
This is a new one.
this is news
That's
to
a
us.
thing.
And there, for sure, that's you.
100.
Totally high
1,000%.
functioning codependent.
Yes.
I mean, that is really eye opening.
In my mind, it's like, it'll just be easier if I do it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you said. And then another thing, okay, so this is an example. And I felt guilty about it. So tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter called last night and she's in a panic. And she's like, oh my gosh, my Rent the One runway dress for the party this weekend just got canceled. And my immediate thing was like, okay, well, let me transfer you some money so you can go get a new one. And instead I just said, well, Emily, you're just going to have to go get another dress. I mean, you're going to have to go to the mall or do something to get it. I didn't offer to do anything or order anything or give her money. And I felt like kind of guilty on the phone, like, oh, like, I don't know. I just felt like I should have helped her more than I did. So what do you think? Is that normal when you're trying to not be so codependent?
Yes, it's normal to feel guilty because you've had an unrealistic expectation of yourself, of what it means to be mothering. And actually, I would flip it. Instead of saying, you're just going to need to, I would say, what are you going to do? What do you think you should do? Always start with expansive questions. Even when my kids come to me, well, they're way adults now, but, and say, what do you think I should do about whatever? I will always say now, because I'm in recovery from a high functioning codependent, I will always say, well, first, what does your gut instinct say? What do you think? What if you did know, what would it be? We learn, instead of to be so directional, to ask expansive questions. It doesn't mean in the end of that I won't give my opinion. It's that it's so much more important to teach young people to think for themselves. They do have the answers, and it's okay to make mistakes. But the way we teach them is by asking and then being quiet. Because here's the reason why we're high functioning codependents and why we do it. Their discomfort makes us so uncomfortable.
Right.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
what we tell ourselves, though, is like, I'm doing it from love. I mean, and there is love there, of course. But the truth is that we want our discomfort to stop as soon as possible. So if I fix this problem, if I just transfer the money for the dress, I don't have to think about her dress anymore. I know it's taken care of,
Right.
done. But there's a cost for doing that. Also, it's exhausting.
Yes.
Like, you're tired as hell. We all are,
Yes.
because it's the bandwidth. I want to say something about high functioning codependency. The reason you have not heard of this term is that I coined this term. And I'm actually writing a book about it right now.
Oh, good.
I think it's spot on. Spot on.
So part of why I came up with this terminology is that I had all of these baller women in my practice who I would see codependent behaviors, and I would mention it, and they'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not dependent on squat. I'm making all the money. I'm making all the freaking decisions. I'm the rock in all of my friend groups. My family comes to me for everything. I'm not dependent. And I was like, oh, my clients don't know what codependency is. And it's a very particular flavor of codependency when you are highly capable women,
Right.
because you make that shit look easy.
Right.
It's like nobody would look at you and be like, oh, she's suffering. They don't know,
right.
right? I just saw this happening with every person who came in, where again, they kept being like, Terri, I'm fine. I'm like, listen, fine is not the same as being peaceful.
Oh,
Totally. I spent so much of my life when my kids were little, and Josh's addiction was, on again, off again, as a very high functioning codependent. Very much. I mean, now that you say that, I know that's exactly what I was. I tried to control what he did. I tried to fix him. And if somebody would have seen me during this time, I have a very successful interior design business. Josh would relapse. It was so painful for me, but I really didn't outwardly show it. I kept it in. I would confide in her. But I was in agony, in complete agony. And I went to a therapist, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And I'd been on again, off again with different therapists. And I make this laundry list. Josh did this. His family of origin did this. And it was just this perfect picture that I could paint about how fucked up he was and why he was fucked up. And the therapist looked at me and said, "Why did you pick him?" And I'm literally like looking around like, is Ashton Kutcher about to walk in here and punk me? Is he suggesting that I have a role in this? I'm trying to save this man's life, for God's sake. And he's suggesting that I'm the problem. He was 1,000% correct that maybe Josh's addictive behaviors were more overt and mine were more covert, but we came together. Our dysfunction fit. And there was something normal on a subconscious level about it to me that kept me in it. And it wasn't until this therapist said this that I was able to liberate myself from a lot of codependent thinking and trying to fix and trying to control. And it's not a sudden change. It's slowly but surely. We would have a fight, or I would suspect that Josh had relapsed, and the wording that I would choose became different and less passive aggressive. I would always try to figure out what was going on with him through passive aggressive means instead of just now I'm able to be vulnerable and say, "Josh, when you did this, it reminded me of old addictive behaviors and it made me feel scared." And that sounds so simple as I'm saying it right now.
But it's not.
Terri, that shit was hard for me to be that vulnerable, identify the problem, and connect how it makes me feel. But it wasn't until that therapist suggested, rather painfully, that something could be wrong with me too. It wasn't until that happened, because Josh's story was juicy. I mean, it could take up years and years of therapy, and the therapists were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe all that happened to him."
Right.
And that all this toxic stuff is going on between the two of you. But when we left him out of it and looked at my journey that led me to a dysfunctional relationship, I was able to grow and like myself so much more and have what you talk about, have that inner peace. And it's a slow road to get there, but I have been getting a lot of traction lately, and I like myself so much more, and I like my relationships so much more.
Yes. And I think that you make a great point of when it came to looking at you, right? Because what do they say in therapy circles? We repeat what we do not repair.
Oh,
and
yes.
so right. So you, and you said we fit together in some strange way. I always say the cracked pot always finds the perfectly cracked lid when it comes to romance.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. We have wounds that we're sort of mirroring for each other. And there is something familiar about the people that we choose.
So I want to tell you, before we were such beacons of mental health that you see right before you now, Terri, I want to tell you.
I'm no beacon.
You're getting better.
I'm getting better, but I'm just a little bitty light right now. My candle's small, but it's trying.
Terri, when she writes this book about
Yes.
the high functioning codependency, your life's going to completely change.
I might have to be your cover model. Here she is.
I'll get stories from you.
So I want to tell you some stories about how crazy we were back in the day. And I'm going to tell you some shit that we did. And then you can tell us how we should have handled it. Okay. Here's an example. Pumps and her husband were in marriage counseling. Okay. And this poor psychotherapist like yourself, Pumps couldn't get in to see him for about 7 to 9 days. And she was certain that her ex-husband was lying to the psychotherapist. So she pitches to me, she's made this list of things. He's lying about this. She had about 10 items. She's as manic as all get out.
Right.
And she's like, he's not able to get me in for a week or two. So I think we should drive to the parking lot of where he works and grab him while he's going back in from his lunch, and I can give him this list. And I look at her, and this is me, the codependent. I look at her and say, that is a really terrible idea. I'll drive.
Exactly. You're like, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, no. So I ambushed him going in for lunch, out of his lunch. I mean, how embarrassing.
I'm sitting in the car, and this poor, learned, brainiac psychotherapist hops out of his car, barrels out with the list. And she's like, I don't know what he's been telling you, but he did this and this and this. And this.
Now, like, I'm thinking that was so bad. I mean, that was so bad.
What did the psychotherapist do is my real question.
He invited me in. So I went in for a second. And he's like, was super sweet and calming. But very early on with him, I knew that we were way too fucked up for him. Like he was your more, you didn't bring in the trash cans from the street. I'm mad. You didn't do this. You forgot to pick up the cleaning.
Yeah.
That kind of guy. We were stage 5 fucked up. We need the most, Hiroshima style therapist we could get. So
Right.
yeah, no, I do remember that very vividly.
Well, Terri, I want to lighten it up a little bit, and we have a little game that we play with our guests called Had It. I'm going to list some things. You can tell us if you've had it with these things or if you'd hit it, like if you'd like to do them. Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it. Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. So the first one is Had It or Hit It. Juicy celebrity gossip or a juicy political scandal.
Kind of hit it, have to be honest.
So, totally. I totally will hit it. I love a good.
I like political more than Hollywood.
I like a good, like Trump with the hooker. That was juicy. I mean, the porn star. Yeah, I was totally into that. I mean, I wanted to know all the salacious details. Had it or hit it. You live in New York City, and so you probably experienced this a lot. Sidewalk hoggers.
Effing had it. Move
it.
Okay. Had it or hit it. Cologne abuse.
Cologne at all. Had it. No. None. My husband smells great with no cologne.
Oh, that's nice.
My husband, this may come as a surprise to you, the recovering addict, tends to abuse cologne as well. I almost said cocaine. Talk about a Freudian slip.
Seriously.
Cocaine and cologne. Okay. Had it or hit it. Cap lock texts.
Had it. Grandma, get it together. Why are you screaming?
Exactly.
Why are you screaming?
Had it.
I always, when I
Are
see
you
something,
okay?
a tweet or a text or an email at cap locks, I read it in my head like as though I'm yelling.
Right.
It is such a shout. Yes, I totally agree. Okay. Had it or hit it. People that I call busy braggers. And these are the people that when you run into them, it's a jet stream of telling you how busy they are.
I hate that.
Here's the thing. I have to say had it, but I fear I still do it. I try not to, but I feel like I might be guilty.
Don't worry, Terri. Half the shit we've had it with, we're the worst offenders.
Total worst offenders.
Yeah.
We're the two
Excellent.
biggest yak mouths on the planet.
Right.
Yeah, you can weave in and out of these and change. We're not going to hold your feet to the fire on anything. None of us are politicians. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And not that they give a shit either. Okay.
No, they don't.
All right. Had it or hit it. Starting a sentence with no offense.
I'm a therapist, so I've had it with that because here's the thing. Don't tell me not to be offended when I know the effing thing that's coming out of your mouth next is going to be offensive, or you wouldn't have said no offense.
Right. It's an advertisement.
Exactly.
Or when they say, with all due respect, you know that they're saying, I have no respect with what I'm about to say.
Somebody wrote, we get a kick since we've done this podcast. Kylie, our producer, puts a bunch of our clips on social media. So we get a lot of praise and a lot of people are so sweet and so supportive, but you always get the skunks at the garden party. So the other day on YouTube, somebody wrote, this is hilarious. I think she's since taken it down because I tried to find it before we did this. But she started off, I mean this in the most respectful way because I love Jen and Pump so much. But has anyone noticed that Jen looks like a possum in designer clothes?
Possum.
I mean, which is so ridiculous, literally denying starting it out like, I mean this with I love them
the most
so much.
respect, but
Let
she
me
looks
say-
like a rodent.
Yeah, that's all respect, all love. Oh, I can tell. I feel the love right now.
Right.
Terri, I have to tell you, when your book comes out, you have to send us
Yes.
a copy. We will buy it because we always want to support women. And I think what you're covering, this is a big, she is the walking embodiment of high functioning codependency.
Right.
When you said that, it was like everything in me lit up and then immediately turned to her
Ding, ding,
like
ding,
a
ding.
heat seeking missile. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
she just completely diagnosed you before you opened your mouth.
Right. Yeah.
Brilliant. Terri, we cannot thank you enough. We definitely value and appreciate so much what the therapeutic process has done for us, and for our friends and for our families. And I love the work that you're doing, and we can't thank you enough for swinging by the podcast. Do you want to tell our listener how to find you and about your book?
Sure. I'll also tell your listeners that if they want to know about their own boundary baseline, like, are you more of a pushover or a peacekeeper or an ice queen? I created a quiz. It's just 13 easy questions. Go to boundaryquiz.com. And then you'll get a whole diagnosis from me with a video telling you like what your style is and how to get better. So there's that, boundaryquiz.com.
Okay.
People can find me at terricole.com. I mostly hang out on Instagram. I have a podcast called The Terri Cole Show as well. I've got a YouTube channel. I put out 2 episodes a week. So there's tons and tons of free content. And this book just turned 2. And so you guys can pre-order the paperback. It's coming out in like 3 weeks, I think, or just go to boundarybossbook.com. And there's all kinds of bonuses that go along with the book. So the book is sold everywhere fine books are sold.
Excellent. I'm going to go do the quiz right now.
We'll do the quiz.
I want to
and
do it.
When your episode comes out, we'll put the results
Yes.
of our quiz on social and tag you. Terri, this has
Thank
been
you so much.
so interesting. We thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck with your book, and we cannot wait to read it.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Yes.
Thanks,
Bye.
Terri.
Wow.
That was so fun. Amazing. Very insightful.
Pumps.
God, it's bad, isn't it?
You have a label.
I mean, every single, like I tick every box. It's not like 9 out of 10.
But God, I love. So listener, I know that wasn't as like whippersnappy funny, but a big part of my and Pump's life has been trying to not be so fucked up.
Self-improvement at a very basic level.
Yes.
Just trying not to be stage 5 fucked up.
Yes, we are attempting to not be so fucked up. And so from time to time, we want to have therapists on because it's a part of our life. And believe it or not, despite all this fucking bitching, we do try to become better people.
We're just hiding it well.
Yes. And so I think there's a lot of insight in what she had to say. And I think the benefits of mental health are phenomenal. And I love that she has all of this stuff that you can access online, where if you can't afford a therapist,
Right.
that you can go online and access a lot of material that can help you grow as a person.
No, it's great. It's a great resource.
I mean, don't get it twisted, listener. This show is not just about straight up 5-star shit talking. The purpose of the shit talk is to get it off your chest so that you're not an asshole to people.
Right.
Get it off your chest with your friends so that you can go out into the world and be healthy,
Wealthy and wise.
That's right. All of those things.
All of those things.
Listener, we need you to do some stuff for us. Write a review on Apple. Rate on Apple. Join us on Patreon.
The DMs of I've had it to the IG.
Yes, that. There's just a lot of shit y'all need to do.
Right.
And all that stuff helps us. So just do all that shit.
And obviously we need all the help we can get.
As evidenced by having the psychotherapist on our show.
Right.
We need help.
We need help.
Yeah, she kind of pegged us.
She did. Thanks, listener. We will see you next Tuesday.